Hello, I've had several inquiries about my son's Pixel StickMan Halloween costume, so here it is in this cable guard enclosure. It was in that backpack. Let me open it up and get it booting up while I talk. So, these should light up. Yes, they do. We're still working. Okay, so this is the pixel strips that we're using for the costume. I got these from Holiday Coro, but holidaycoro.com. There's all kinds of places you can get them and all kinds of varieties. These are ink 1003, which it's a WS2811 clone. So pretty much any pixel controller you have that'll do WS2811 will do these. I think whatever pixels you want to use is limited by your imagination. So I slid them in these tubes. Found these at Menards. They are sump pump tubes, I believe is what they were called. They're back in the plumbing section. I loved them because they were nice and opaque. I was trying to find something flexible. My concern, you can see this one's kind of bent, which is why it got cut out and not used. This stuff is just kind of fragile. A lot more fragile than the tape you see. People are using the regular LED StickMan. This has a signal going through it. So I really wanted to protect it. And plus, if it got spun around, you can see we have good light distribution from both sides, even though it's just on, just one side, because I was worried these are on his body, they'd be flipping around and disappearing. So that's why I went this route. So over here to the brains that was on his back, 2 RC car batteries. These are 2-cell lipos. I put them in series, so this is like a 4-cell lipo battery. These are 4,400 milliamp hour. I figured out this thing draws about 2.5-3 amps full on white. So these will power him for a couple hours, because most of the time the power's not on. They're set for storage mode now, so they're only putting out 15.5 volts. This is a little power supply. Got off of eBay, I believe. I bounced back and forth some of the stuff between eBay and Amazon. It's a little buck converter, so it's dropping the 17 to 14 volts down to nice steady 12. If you buy one of these things, this is a 5 amp model. I figure to be plenty, since at most this costume pulls about 3 amps. It says anything over 3 you should put a heat sink on. Well, before I put that heat sink on, it was pulling under 3 volts, and at room temperature that thing would overheat on all white in about 5 minutes. So I went ahead and put the little heat sink on there. It just epoxied on with the thermal epoxy. Halloween, it's typically cold out, the lights are flashing, so the more they flash is the less it runs. But I just figured better safe than sorry. Keep a heat sink on there so you don't overheat in the middle of things. So it just puts 12 volts into this strip. This is a little converter for your car. It's like a 12 to 5 volt USB charger is what it is, but it works perfect for these means. Again, I think I got this one on Amazon. So it has 2 outputs, 1 amp each, and it's powering the 2 devices over here. So here, this is like the brains of the show, the Falcon Pi player. It's a Raspberry Pi running the Falcon Pi player software FPP. You can see the the software runs on the flash card here. The sequences are on the thumb drive here. This is the Wi-Fi dongle plugged in. So that Falcon Pi Player software, you can sequence in practically anything. I used Vixen 2.1 to sequence. It's not that great a software for RGB pixels, but it's what I was familiar with. I'm trying to convert my stuff over to HLS. I really like HLS, but this just came down to what I was familiar with, and this wasn't a whole ton of pixels, so it wasn't too bad. So not ideal, but it worked. If I ever get HLS really figured out and running, I'll start sequencing this thing off HLS. So it puts out, the way I have it configured, it's putting out E1.31 is the Ethernet pixel protocol or Ethernet lighting protocol. So that's why we just have an Ethernet cable here connecting up to the Arduino Uno. So we have an Ethernet shield on top of it. So this is basically an Arduino Uno pixel controller. So it's looking for a E131 signal, which is just coming from this guy. So we just have it wired. I just have a little screw block to make it easier to connect here. So it comes out to this cable, which just has these waterproof, typical waterproof connectors. The second one, I inject power at the very end of the costume, which I only have half of it lit here, and using 12 volts. I probably don't even need it, but I went ahead and injected power at the very end anyway. So let's show you here. Hopefully this booted up and connected. I have my phone set up as a Wi-Fi hotspot. And so the Pi auto connects to the Wi-Fi hotspot. And this is from earlier. Let me make sure we really are connected. So yeah, it just reloaded the page. So we can go down here. You can control the Falcon Pi player from anything web enabled. It just has a interface on it. So let's go quickly. Display testing. You know, I can turn on channels, pixels one at a time, change colors of everything. I can test with a sequence. So we'll do his crazy routine. So yeah, as you see, we got pixels going crazy now with the crazy routine. So there's the head flashing. So that's pretty much it. That's how it works. If I had to change anything, I don't like working with these 12 volt pixels. As you can see, there's a little buck converter here which converts from 12 down to 5 volts. So you really have to pay attention to where you cut and how you wire these things up. I went this route so that I didn't have to buy as high amp converter here, since I was only going down to 12 volts. Really, if I had to do it over again, I'd probably just get one of these that was capable of, 10 amps at 5 volts, and then I wouldn't have even bothered to do this. I mean, it works, no regrets. I don't even know if what I just described to you is feasible, but as I played with this, some of these wires I was having to backfeed 5 volts from one strip to another. If I just had a 5 volt, it would work fine. So that's the only thing I changed in the design. Aside from that, it worked great. It was nice being able to walk behind my son and restart his program, make him do whatever he needed to do at that time, just using my phone. Nothing too fancy. All the software is free. Falcon Pi player is free. The Pixel controller is free. All the sequencing software is free. The X lights, which are used to convert any sequence to Falcon Pi player, is free. So if you have any questions, comments, concern, leave them below. You can get on my Facebook page, which is just TippLightShow, TippLightshow, all one word. I can probably be more responsive to any questions there. Put a shout out to doityourselfchristmas.com. I couldn't have done any of this without their help. Thank you for watching.